This Late Night Linux Family podcast is made possible by our patrons. Go to latenightlinux.com/support for details of how you can join them. Support us on Patreon for access to ad-free episodes and early releases. That's latenightlinux.com/support. Hello and welcome to episode 379 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 23rd of March 2026. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelan.
Evening.
Graham.
Hello.
And Will.
Hello.
Let's do some discoveries. Will, you've got a quick one, Creepy Link.
Creepy Link is a URL longener, which creates URLs from wherever you give it and makes them look as suspicious as possible. Like proper phishing-looking URLs. You can put anything you like in there, and it will generate one of hundreds of dodgy-looking domains with, .exe on the end and stuff like that. And it's good fun, and play with it.
I think this should be a key component of our future web, where all links are like this.
Yeah, good idea. This is not new, of course. I remember Shady URL from 15 years ago, maybe, that did exactly this. But this did the rounds a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, when you initially put this in, but we haven't got round to it. But it is a bit of fun. Like, I put latenightlinux.com in, and it gave me service.click.link / a bunch of shit, then redeemgift.zip. Just really dodgy shit. I mean, there's not really a good use for this, is there? But it's a bit of fun.
I have some alert emails that just like status of backup jobs that is going through a client's exterior facing mail. I don't know what you'd call it, but essentially what it does, it fucks up every single fucking file path in the file. They're not links. They're not web pages. No, they're actual file system locations, and it converts them in, wraps them in this horrible URL shit. So fuck that shit. I hate it all. And it'd be better if I actually ran it through this thing.
Graham, Supercell WX.
We've had a terrible winter here in the south of England, where it's like many places seem to have rained every day for like 6 months. It's been like Mordor.
Mordor? I think you mean Blade Runner.
Yeah, or Blade Runner. And I became semi-obsessed with the weather. And if you've used any kind of modern smartphone app, weather app, you'll see that there's many of them have some really fancy weather radar that shows you weather systems coming in and intensity of rainfall and cloud and predictions. And the source for a lot of this is this next generation of weather radar called NexRad. Not that I know that much about it. Supercell WX is a viewer for NexRad data. It's open source. It's Python using Qt. You do need an API key to something that will provide the data source, but you can get it free from, you can get a free tier from MapTiler or Mapbox. And I have tried this, and it's pretty easy to set up. Stick the API key into Supercell WX, and then you can do all kinds of things that I really can't understand, but really get into the data, the visualization, and play around with all of that kind of radar information in a way you can't typically with the kind of eye candy weather apps you have on your phone. And it's been, well, depressing, honestly, seeing the rain coming in, but you can find some interesting things about it.
Right. I use an app called Rain Radar on my phone, which must be plugged into this data because it looks quite similar.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all using the same source. I mean, I haven't studied this, but it seems to serve a more academic purpose, this app, if you actually understand the radar data and what it consists of and how it's measured. I think you can do a lot more kind of research and numeric prodding with the application than you can with the weather app.
This Rain Radar app's got a slider on the bottom that is time. And so right now it's going from 10:15 up to 1:45 in the morning. And I can just slide it back and forwards and see the rain clouds essentially just going back and forth over the UK. So I'm sure you can do that times a million with this then.
You can adjust the layers and the output and how it's rendered, and you can adjust the data points that are used to construct the actual visualization of the data, as well as how the data is visualized. So you can change and analyze different aspects of the data rather than just usually the few kind of windows on that data that you give them with an app. But yeah, you can go backwards and forwards and look at historic data.
That looks quite cool. I love that type of stuff. I have pull down widgets onto my desktop from the EU Metstat stuff. And I wonder, it must be the same stuff because it's using all the radar rings, because you can actually see the sort of circle around the various airports or stations that have a radar up from like Iceland and all across Europe. So it must be that data. I am definitely going to try that out.
And it supports Ubuntu 22.04 Plus.
Excellent.
Phelim, who's there?
So, have you ever had to go onto a network that you do not know and want to look for either an IP address or where that thing is that you forgot what it's called, but you know it's a HP printer? This is that tool that you want. It's a nice TUI-based scan across the network, listen for hosts, find MAC addresses, and find MAC manufacturers. You can get a list of the IPs that are there. You can hit enter. You can bring up a list of the device. It does a scan. If there's any ports available that it can scan when it does its discovery, you can see what service it's running. And all in all, just a really nice utility and very handy because I forget where I put my pies and I have too many of them. And I usually try to add the next one to the same IP as the previous one that I've added. So very useful.
I downloaded this and built it today and took about 10 seconds. Really small, easy to use. I fired it up and I was surprised at how many things there were on my network. But it found pretty much everything as far as I can tell. And then you can sort of drill down into each of those things. And I think I saw something in there about port scanning, but I didn't get that to work. So I don't know if that's built in or not.
I don't know if I managed to get my port scan to work either because I don't think I've actually seen it do one yet. But then again, everything on my network's a bit of a mess and firewalled, so I'm not really sure. But I quite like the fact that it identifies stuff using the MAC address DB, so it can pick out manufacturers. So if you know that you're looking for a pie, you'll be able to say, shite, there they are. There's the three of them there, or whatever, which is quite handy. It's just, there's nothing magic about it. It's all things that you could do yourself if you really wanted to, and maybe you have tons of aliases for doing it already, but it's a very nice way to get access to the info. Super simple.
I have now completed a port scan. It works fine. You just go onto the device and press P.
Oh.
I've just installed it while you've been speaking, and it's really great.
There you go. See, look.
It's great.
How did I never see the press P? It was there. It was there in the helpful information in the bottom right corner.
Oh, look at the themes. Control and T and can change the theme. That's lovely.
Well, I have discovered the Ultramaster KR106, which is a GPL3 software implementation of a Juno 106, which is a synthesizer. And I can't believe that I discovered this and not you, Graham.
Who are you?
I have got a huge list of these discoveries, but I haven't brought them up for a while. But yes, well done, Joe.
And on the website, they talk about it being a quarter century in the making. They started this in around 2000 and then kind of shelved it for a while until technology moved on a bit. And now they've recently released it, and it is very cool and very easy to get going as well. Like, I thought I was going to have to try and build it or something, but no. You just download a zip file, and it's got various plugins and stuff, or you just extract the binary, run it, and then it just runs as a standalone.
Could you stop referring to clearly what is only a couple of years ago as a quarter century ago? That's disturbing on so many levels.
Yeah, it was first developed around the turn of the century.
Oh, stop!
Graham, I don't know if you know much about the Juno 106, but this has got like a waveform display on the right-hand side, top right of it. The original didn't have that, presumably.
No, but I think it's there because the synth, I think, had DCOs. So the oscillators were digitally controlled rather than voltage controlled VCOs of the original analog synths, which made them tune exactly. So digitally, this is probably why it's able to emulate it more accurately than other VCO driven synthesizers, and probably why they can display the waveform so confidently.
Right. And I've got a Keylab something 66. It's a fairly cheap MIDI controller, but it's the full 66 key one. And I plugged that in and just found it in the menu, no problem. And even some of mine's got like a few faders and knobs and stuff, and even that was picked up, and I was able to control some of the parameters on it. And it was really good fun. It's got a load of presets on it as well to get started with. And it's even got like 2 modes, 1982 and 1984. It seems very comprehensive, put it that way. And I would imagine pretty accurate. But I've never played a Juno 106, so I wouldn't know. But I can tell you I got some cool sounds out of this, and it was very good fun.
Apparently, it was used in the Underworld Born Slippy iconic synth hook.
Right. But yeah, always good to have an open source synth to talk about.
Oh, okay. Now that you've opened that box, I'm going to bring a few more next time.
Okay.
There's been a really amazing thing that's happened in open source synths, and that's the emulation of DSP digital synths, but I'll talk about it in a future episode.
Right, yes. We'll have to have late night synths. One day. Dare to dream. Okay, this episode is sponsored by Automox. If you're evaluating endpoint management solutions, the real risk isn't which tool you choose, it's choosing one without a proven blueprint for success. Because while most endpoint tools promise automation, next to none promise outcomes. That's why Automox introduced Turnkey results. Turnkey removes the uncertainty that holds endpoint automation back. It delivers a personalized results blueprint, so Automox is configured and operated to achieve real outcomes from day one. No trial and error, just clarity. Each blueprint is validated across millions of endpoints managed by Automox and tailored to your specific environment, your risk tolerance, and your operational goals. Instead of guessing how aggressive to be with automation or how to configure policies safely, start with a plan you can trust. And you can choose to implement the plan yourself or have Automox do it for you. Either way, you get faster time to value, lower risk, and predictable endpoint outcomes. Automox Turnkey results. Know the plan, trust the result. Learn more at www.automox.com. I keep seeing headlines about various open source projects integrating AI development and having like an agents.md and all the rest of it file on the repo. And systemd recently added this AI agents document. And I got talking to some people about that, and they said, like, and what? Like, this is all development now. Everybody's using Claude and agents and shit like that, even for open source. And I said, but I don't like that. And they said, well, you know, take, for example, that new XFCE Wayland compositor. How would you feel if that was being developed with AI shit? And I said, well, not happy. And then it dawned on me, shit, maybe I should try and find out. And so I found out. And I'll put a screenshot in the show notes from XFCE-dev, the Matrix channel. And Brian, the fellow who is doing the development of this Rust-based XFCE Wayland compositor, I asked him, hi, are you using or planning to use generative AI or agents as part of the work you're doing on this XFWL4? And he said, not planning to, already am. Smiley winky face. It's fucking everywhere, and I don't think that it can be avoided. And Phelim, you don't want to accept that fact, probably, and I don't want to accept it. Will's going to stay quiet, sheepishly, probably, about this. And Graham's, you know.
I think it's brilliant. I can't wait until there's no humans left on the planet and we just leave the robots to it.
Yeah, it's fucking Wall-E. So, I mean, this begs the question, is AI bullshit in FOSS just inescapable now? Are just too many people using it? Do we just take for granted that there is generative AI involved in the code in a lot of the software that we're using?
I would suggest that anybody who is using VS Code is also using Copilot, since it's bundled in with it and it's extremely easy to use. And I also think that if a significant number of professional software developers are using it because it helps them to produce their work faster or higher quality or both, then perhaps that's fine. And, you know, that's the correct way of doing things.
I think you're making a big promise there.
Well, like I have said from the beginning of this, with Copilot in VS Code, there are degrees to which you can use it. And one of the ways which you've talked about using it, Will, is as basically fancy autocomplete, like doing a lot of the boilerplate stuff. And, you know, you start writing a function or whatever, and it like completes it to more or less what you were going to do anyway. And you're checking it as you're going, and it's just saving you a little bit of typing time. I mean, is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's fair. Probably 12 months ago, I think the new model of Claude, what is it, 4.6 now, is just capable of producing high quality code faster than you can think it. You know, you just give it a very abstract concept and it will spit out pretty much correct code. You still need to know what you're looking for and know what the common pitfalls are and understand a little bit about, I don't really know how to explain it. There are common problems where it doesn't really, it's obvious that it doesn't understand what you're asking. It's assembling from what you have suggested to it, what it thinks is the most likely solution, but it doesn't really understand what it's doing. And so you need to be able to spot bear traps along the way, and then you can produce a huge amount of good quality code.
Right. But presumably you need to read through it all and check it all.
I think you do. I also imagine that with the correct checkpoints put in and a good CI system which is running tests which have been validated to be correct, you could get to a point where you give it a once over every so often. Or if it's not absolutely critical, you could get away with just running whatever it produces. It's good enough. But I personally wouldn't want that in production without a human being having checked and confirmed that it's correct.
Right. So, Phelim, this is great, isn't it?
I think we've been using it the wrong way around. I think the potential for it to be able to read through stuff and check stuff is better than its ability to generate stuff in the first place. I, from a personal point of view, think the human should develop the code, write the code. I don't think we are so desperately in need of code to be developed that quickly that we're incapable of waiting for somebody to develop it. But I think the potential to not understand what's being written and sort of be dependent on a third-party company who doesn't necessarily have your best interests at heart, doesn't necessarily have trained the data with the, various licenses the correct way. There could be proprietary code in a open project. There could be open code in a proprietary project. It's I think, a legal minefield for the future. And I think that humans are terrible at checking things. And the only stuff I've been involved with is been checking that some vibe coded stuff worked or didn't do naughty things. And it was painful because I sent, recommendations of what should be done for the next version. And it essentially generated a completely new thing because it didn't have that ability to do a minor upgrade, do that thing. Maybe you can do that now. I don't know. But that was my experience with it.
Look, I don't think you're a million miles away from what is currently the situation. But to your point about it doing the testing, absolutely, it would be a very good addition to any CI train that it does code reviews and it does look for bugs, security holes, typos, whatever. It could do all of that, and it could do it 24 hours a day, never getting bored, never getting tired. If you're asking people to check pull requests and they're trying to do hundreds and hundreds of them one after the other, they will get complacent. I think you're absolutely right.
Right, but then you have to take into consideration the ethics of actually using it. And we've been over that loads of times before. But what I wanted to get at here was, if you are like me and would prefer to avoid the use of it in any code that you are ultimately running, I now don't think that that is possible. Because even if you've got these projects that explicitly ban the use of generative AI in contributions to them, people will just lie. And people are lying. People are contributing. And I think that it is probably unavoidable at this point if you use just any sort of modern open source software.
I think the best thing could happen, if it's going to fail, it needs to fail fast, because you don't want that dependence. Look at any of the finances of those companies who are running this. Even if you take the whole melting the icebergs out of it, none of them can make money at all, not even remotely close as to what they're spending on doing all this stuff. So would you invest in something that you become dependent on if it is that likely to implode? It's a scary place to be.
Well, the argument against that is, fuck it, live for today. And when they all go tits up, well, I'll just have to go back to doing it the old way and it'll take more time. The argument against that, of course, is that then your brain will be atrophied and you won't have those skills anymore. But I think that it's, this argument that we're having is irrelevant because it is here, it's in everything, and you can't avoid it. And that's just really shit to me.
I think you're right. I think it is, at this point, unavoidable.
Phelan, presumably you're doing your best to avoid code that has been written with the help of generative AI.
I am, yeah.
How's that going?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't audit everybody's code or find out who is. The only thing I can hope for is that the projects that I like doing their best to make sure that the code they're writing is, for a start, FOSS compliant, and secondly, as secure as they can make it. And that is, unfortunately, as good as I can do with it. I would like us to not be dependent on like 1 or 2 or 3 giant monoliths that have all these LLMs that are run behind it. I think it's a really poor future for us if we're so dependent on any code getting developed to be written by these people. So, from that state of affairs, I think it's the next sort of frontier of, open code. It's, you can't compete with that.
It's a bloody good job System D isn't into this shit. Oh, no, hang on. You basically can't use a modern Linux distro without System D. And don't at me, people who use the weird ones. You basically can't use most of the big distros without System D. And they are accepting the use of generated code. So, at that point, you just got to give up, haven't you? And just say, well, right. Because, I, for example, have blocked Claude on GitHub. So when I go to a project's GitHub, it says a user you've blocked has contributed to this repo. And then you click the drop down and it says Claude. And it's like, right, okay, so Claude has contributed to this. I will therefore try and avoid it. But the point that people have been trying to make to me and that I'm trying to make to you lot is that is pissing in the wind and you may as well not bother.
I mean, I don't know. I definitely know I'm in my own bubble of self-bubbled where I just avoid it. If I see a story about it on Hacker News or whatever, I close it. I don't care. I don't want to know about it. It's not because I'm trying to put my fingers in my ears. It's just I can't stand the hype anymore. It's so obnoxious. It's unreal. It's like Richard Stallman inverse. It's like you must use LLMs.
Yeah. But burying your head doesn't mean that you're not running code on your machine right now, probably, that was generated by AI, so-called.
I have no way to tell.
No. And I don't like that. But I don't think there's anything I can do about it. Right, well, we better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what it'll be. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelan.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.